Time to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. Today in the rLounge, when people who should have your back decided it's more fun to stab you in it instead. Watch your back. Check your accounts. Double check your locks. Because the ones smiling at you across the dinner table, they might just be sharpening the knife behind your chair. Up first, when your own brother sleeps with your girlfriend, your parents act like it's normal, and suddenly you're the unreasonable one. Parents demanded I fund my cheating ex's wedding to my brother. Now there's no wedding, and they're broke. I never expected to catch my girlfriend of 5 years cheating. Even worse, I never imagined it be with my own brother. But here we are. Samantha and I had been living together for almost 3 years in an apartment we both loved. We'd talked about marriage, kids, the whole package. I genuinely thought we were solid. She's been acting a bit distant lately, but I chalked it up to stress from her new promotion. Last week, I was ordering takeout when my phone died. I asked to borrow hers since mine was charging. She handed it over without hesitation, which should have been my first clue that she wasn't thinking clearly. As I opened the browser to navigate to the restaurant's website, a message notification popped up from my brother, Tyler. "Can't wait to see you again tonight. Last time was amazing." I froze. My stomach dropped. Maybe I was misinterpreting? I clicked on the notification. Their conversation history loaded. I wish I hadn't looked, but I couldn't stop myself. The messages were explicit. Photos had been exchanged, plans had been made, repeatedly, for when I was working late or out of town. I took screenshots and sent them to my cloud storage. Then I set the phone down and waited for her to come out of the shower. When she walked into the living room, I just held up her phone with the messages visible and asked what this was. The color drained from her face. She tried the, "It's not what it looks like" line. When I pointed out that it looked exactly like she was sleeping with my brother, she started crying. Between sobs, she admitted it had been going on for a few months. They connected emotionally while I was on a business trip back in November. She swore it was just a few times and didn't mean anything. I pointed out that they'd been planning meetups around my schedule for months. She just kept insisting they didn't mean for it to happen and that there was just this connection between them. I told her to pack her things and get out. She begged me to reconsider, claimed she'd made a mistake, that she loved me. I grabbed some essentials and went to crash at my friend's place, telling her she had until tomorrow to clear out her stuff. When I returned the next day, she was gone. So was my grandfather's watch, some expensive electronics, and a few other items that were definitely not hers. I texted Tyler to call him out. His response, "Sorry bro, but we're in love." I spent the next week trying to process everything while replacing the locks and reclaiming my space. Then the calls from my mother started. She told me I needed to grow up and get over this. According to her, Tyler and Samantha were adults who fell in love, and these things happen. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I asked if she was serious. My brother slept with my girlfriend behind my back for months, and I needed to grow up. She explained that Tyler has always been sensitive and that he and Samantha have a real connection. She actually suggested I should be happy for them. When I pointed out that Tyler had no problem betraying his own brother, she sighed like I was being unreasonable and reminded me that he's my little brother who's always looked up to me. Apparently, I needed to set an example by being mature about this. About a month later, I got added to a family group chat. There was an engagement announcement. Tyler had proposed to Samantha with my grandmother's ring, the one that was supposed to be mine when I was ready to propose. My mother called to make sure I'd seen the news and informed me that they were getting married in June. When I sarcastically congratulated them, she insisted I needed to be there, as his best man no less. I laughed and told her I wasn't going to their wedding, let alone being his best man. I blocked the family group chat after that. A few weeks later, my father showed up at my apartment unannounced. I almost didn't let him in, but curiosity got the better of me. He immediately started talking about the wedding. When I reiterated that I wasn't going, he sighed heavily and explained that he and my mother had invested everything in Tyler's future. His education, helping him get established, and they didn't have much left. They couldn't afford a wedding. I told him that wasn't my problem. That's when he dropped the bomb. They were hoping I could help. According to him, I make good money and paying for my ex-girlfriend's wedding to my brother who betrayed me would be the mature thing to do. I stared at him in disbelief. He admitted it sounded bad when I put it that way, but insisted that family supports each other. I laughed in his face and told him to get out. My aunt, Elowen, reached out a couple weeks later. She's my mom's sister, but has always been the reasonable one in the family. She thought I should know what they were saying about me and sent me screenshots from the family chat I'd blocked. My parents were telling everyone I was mentally unstable and pathologically jealous of Tyler. They claimed I had initially promised to pay for the wedding as a gesture of goodwill, but then went back on my word out of spite. Ellen was the only one defending me, pointing out that what Tyler and Samantha did was wrong. Most of the family seemed to be buying my parents' version of events. I thanked her for letting me know and tried to put it out of my mind. Then the wedding invitation arrived. It was elaborate, heavy cardstock with gold foil lettering and custom illustrations. Inside was a handwritten note from Samantha saying she hoped I'd had time to process everything. She forgave me for how I reacted and hoped I'd do the right thing by supporting them on their special day. She even had the nerve to say Tyler misses his big brother. Attached was a detailed wedding budget, $35,000 total, with my name listed as financial contributor next to the entire amount. The audacity was breathtaking. I was so angry I could barely think straight. I took photos of the invitation, the note, and the budget, then posted them on social media, tagging everyone who knew in common. My caption was simple. My brother slept with my girlfriend 4 months behind my back. Now they're engaged and expecting me to pay $35,000 for the wedding. Should I? The post blew up. Within hours, I had hundreds of comments and messages from people I hadn't spoken to in years. Most were supportive, expressing shock at the situation. Some mutual connections filled in gaps I hadn't known. Apparently, their affair had been going on longer than I realized, and several people had known but didn't want to get involved. Samantha sent a novel-length text about how I was destroying her dream wedding out of spite and immaturity. I replied with a middle finger emoji and blocked her new number, too. I thought that would be the end of it, but my Aunt Elowen called again a few weeks later. She informed me that my parents had taken out a second mortgage on their house for the wedding. Tyler had convinced them it was an investment in his happiness. They'd always given him whatever he wanted. Elowen was worried that they were going to ask her for money next. I warned her to protect her finances and thanked her for the information. Aunt Elowen kept me updated on the family situation. Tyler had lost his job due to repeatedly missing work for wedding planning. My parents were now covering his living expenses in addition to the wedding costs, having emptied their retirement accounts for deposits on venues, catering, and other expenses. I felt zero sympathy. They'd chosen their side. I thanked Elowen for keeping me informed, but I told her I was done with all of them. Then came the desperate voicemail from my mother saying they needed just $10,000 more, or they'd lose the venue deposit. She begged me to help if I ever loved the family and suggested we could work out a payment plan. I deleted the message without responding. The wedding was scheduled for mid-June. About 2 weeks from now, I managed to avoid any direct contact with my parents, Tyler, or Samantha for several weeks, and I planned to keep it that way. I moved on with my life as best I could. I was dating casually, focusing on my hobbies. Then Aunt Elowen called with news I could hardly believe. Samantha had cheated on Tyler with his best friend, the one who was supposed to be his best man. Tyler caught them together at his bachelor party. Apparently, he left early because of his migraine, came back to grab his medication, and found them going at it in the hotel room. The wedding was off. My parents were in a financial crisis because of all the non-refundable deposits, and Tyler had moved back in with them. He'd been drinking heavily. I couldn't help but feel a twisted sense of justice. Karma's a witch. Aunt Elowen called again to confirm the wedding was officially canceled. My parents were in full financial crisis mode, having spent over $30,000 on non-refundable deposits. Tyler had moved back in with them and was apparently drinking heavily. My mother called a week later, crying hysterically. She blamed me for cursing the wedding and ruining Tyler's life because I couldn't be happy for him. I pointed out that Tyler ruined his own life when he decided to sleep with my girlfriend. Through social media, I discovered that Samantha was now dating Tyler's former best friend. They were flaunting their relationship with pictures taken at venues my parents had already paid deposits for. I screenshot everything for my personal satisfaction. 2 weeks later, my father emailed asking for a family meeting to heal wounds. I knew what that meant. They needed money. I responded with a single line, "I'm not your ATM." Then I blocked his email address too. Aunt Elowen kept me updated on the family drama. My parents' house was now officially on the market. They'd been telling family members I drove them to financial ruin by going back on my promise to fund the wedding. Elowen had been systematically debunking their lies with extended family members. The audacity to ask you to fund their wedding is outrageous. Your parents' behavior is equally shocking. First of all, they ignored the betrayal. Then they enabled it, gaslighted you, and tried to manipulate you into paying for the consequences of their children's choices. The only thing you've done wrong here is expect them to act like adults. You protected yourself and your finances, and you distance yourself from people who've proven themselves toxic. That's exactly the right call. Anyone trying to blame you for the chaos are the ones who are unreasonable. What would you have done? Up next, some people think doing something nice means surprising you with flowers or making dinner. Others apparently think it means quietly siphoning $13,000 from your bank account. My boyfriend, 28 male, has been collecting my, 24 female, rent for a free house. I've been living with my boyfriend for a year. I'm a graduate student, so I have a very minimal income, and I'm very upset about this, but my boyfriend says he was trying to do something nice. My boyfriend and I moved in together to a house that he found. He arranged all the landlord stuff and told me to send $1,000 a month to the landlord's bank account. This is a very normal rent for our area, but I could have probably spent less if I'd lived in an apartment. I've been doing so for the last year, only to find out yesterday from his mom that his parents actually own the house and they aren't charging us rent. Upon hearing this, I asked my boyfriend about the $13,000 that he has had me send to some account, and he told me that he was doing it for me as a gift to give back later so I could see how much I've saved. I'm livid. I'm not irresponsible with money. I have no debt and I even have some savings. Over the last year, there have been things I've had to miss out on because they just weren't financially feasible without this money. There have been some times when I couldn't get my tires replaced or couldn't get a new blazer to replace my threadbare one, so my boyfriend got to swoop in and save the day. It always made me feel so bad that he could just live fine on his salary, not that much higher than mine, but I couldn't live well on mine. Now I know it's because he was spending $1,000 less than I was every month. I don't know what to do. I feel upset and uncomfortable about the whole situation, but my boyfriend won't listen to me. He keeps saying that this was supposed to be a surprise gift, and I'm taking it the wrong way. I don't know what to think. Am I overreacting? Edit to clarify that his parents didn't seem to know anything about this and were under the impression that neither of us were paying rent. Let's see what the community thinks about this with some of the relevant comments. First up, you aren't overreacting. He broke your trust and doesn't really respect you if it's true. I'd ask for the money back now. How do you know he even still has it really? This would be relationship ending in my book. He is treating you like a child, not a partner. The OP replies, I asked for it yesterday and he got very angry. He said that if he gives it back while I'm mad at him, I'll leave him and that I owe him anyway for the times he'd supported me financially. I know I should pay him back some of it, but I certainly don't owe him $13,000, more like $1,000. The next person says, oh no, honey, there are so many issues here. First of all, what the F are you doing just trusting your boyfriend to handle your entire living situation? You didn't ever ask to see or sign a lease? You didn't ask to know the total rent or ever want to meet your landlord yourself? You have boundaries and independence issues out the wang. That being said, your boyfriend literally stole your money and lied to you. He's manipulative and psycho. Immediately ask for your money back, move out, and break up with him. The OP replies, I signed a lease and was told that the total rent was $2,000 a month. I didn't sit down and read every single term because I trusted my boyfriend. Can I sue my boyfriend for fake rent that he took from me? I was sent here by r/relationships and put up a more detailed post over here. My boyfriend and I moved into a house together a year ago. My boyfriend told me to deposit $1,000 a month for rent into an account for our landlord. Turns out his parents own the house and they haven't been charging either of us rent. Turns out he has been saving this money to give me as a gift later. I've seen a bank statement. He will not give me the money right now because he says I'll take it and leave him. During the last year, my boyfriend has helped me out a couple of times financially, and he says he can just keep all the money, although he's probably spent about $1,000 on me, not the full $13,000. I know I probably effed up by sending him the money directly into the account. Is there a way to legally get that money back? Let's get some additional comments, shall we? One says, did you sign a lease of any sort? If not, your boyfriend was charging you $1,000 a month in rent. It doesn't matter if he was not being charged rent himself. Shouldn't this post say ex-boyfriend? The OP replies, the lease doesn't say anything about rent. I looked back at it and it basically says that we won't trash the house or move other people in. His parents didn't know about any of this as far as I know. It's their house, not my soon-to-be ex-boyfriend's. Another commenter chimes in, so there was a lease and you have it in writing and it says the apartment is being rented to both of you, rent-free, and you and your boyfriend both signed it? The OP replies, the lease just says nothing about paying rent. His mom is the owner of the house and I have a message from her that says she wasn't being paid rent and that neither of us was being charged. Another comment follows on with this. He extorted you. Get the F out. His reasoning is a lie to obfuscate what he actually did. Final update, 2 weeks later. I figured this merited an update. I told my ex-boyfriend I was moving out with or without the money, and he told me that if I left him, he could keep the gift for himself. I told him whatever and called his mother and told her I was leaving. She asked why and I told her the whole story. She asked me to give her a few minutes and then she would get back to me. I heard her call my ex in the other room and could hear her yelling at him through the phone. She called me back and told me to take pictures of the rooms. I sent them to her and she gave me the all clear over text. She also sent me an apology for my ex's behavior. I left and thought that was that. A few days later, I got a check in the mail for $15,000 from my ex's mom. Not exactly justice, because the original money was indeed probably gone, but I walked away feeling pretty good about the whole thing. Taking $13,000 from you under the guise of rent when his parents owned the house and never intended to charge you is manipulative and controlling, plain and simple. Calling it a gift is just an excuse to cover up what's essentially financial abuse. He put you in a position where you were sacrificing your own needs and savings, all while he got to live comfortably and feel like a hero. Then, when you confronted him, he tried to guilt trip you into leaving the money with him. You were right to walk away. Anyone who treats their partner like a piggy bank, lies about basic living expenses, and refuses to respect boundaries is not someone worth staying with. What do you think? Thank you for joining us today in the rLounge. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time. And please put your chair back where you found it.